Hi, today I want to talk about your review writing assignment. And specifically, I want to talk about the rhetorical situation of a movie review. This way, you'll know the issues that you need to address when you go to write your review. And the questions I'm going to raise and ask you to think about today will also help you when you go to draft your roadmap assignment. So I recommend that you grab a copy of your textbook and turn to page 325 and page 326 because I'm going to go over the different categories of the rhetorical situation. It will be helpful to follow along in your book. Okay, so the first rhetorical situation I want to talk about is your audience. What assumptions can you make about your audience? What do they already know about your film? And what do they expect when they read a review? A good way to think of this is to ask yourself, well, why do people read movie reviews in the first place? They usually read reviews because they want to decide if they should go see a movie or not. Should they waste their time and money on a film or not? Is it a good movie, worth it? So what do they already know about this film? They've probably maybe seen a trailer about it. They might be familiar with the director and have seen other films that director has done. They might be very familiar with the actors too, and have seen other films and other work that those actors have done. So things that we can know about our audience is that they haven't seen the film. Otherwise, they wouldn't need to know whether it's a good film or a bad film. Also, think about when you ask someone, hey, do you want to go see this movie with me? What do they usually say? They say, well, I don't know. What's it about? So often readers want a very brief summary of what the movie's about, what the plot is going to cover. However, they don't want everything to be given away, so you don't want to give them any spoilers that are going to ruin the story for them. The other thing we often ask before we see a film is, hey, who's in it? So readers often want to know who the actors are and what characters those actors play. So let's move on to purpose. Think about, why are you writing? What effect do you want to have on your audience? Do you want to convince them that the film you're writing about is the greatest film ever and that they should drop everything and watch it right away? Or are you in the other direction and be like, oh, that was a terrible film, do not go and see it? Or are you writing a more balanced review that there's some good things about the film, some bad things, and you want to give your readers enough information and enough detailed analysis that they can make an educated decision if it's the type of film they would like or not? Let's talk about stance. Okay. And this kind of goes hand in hand. Are you writing a positive review, a negative review, or a balanced one? This will definitely inform the type of tone that you take in your writing. And finally, let's talk about context. What background information do you need to consider? That is, think about, where is your film situated in the cinematic world? Okay, you might need to do some research to figure out exactly where your film fits. Films are going to be perceived very different if they're by a debut director versus someone like Steven Spielberg, who has a huge famous catalog of films behind him and backing him, right? You also need to do context with what type or genre of film it is. If it's a comedy, we expect certain things from it that we don't expect of, say, an action movie, okay? And, you've read several reviews as part of your quizzes, your Wonder Woman review and the Parent Trap review. You might want to go back and review those. Think about the Wonder Woman review. One thing that was contextual about that and was important was that it was the first DC film that was directed by a woman. So that reviewer made sure to make mention of that. Also, because it's part of a larger franchise, DC comic book movies, the reviewer also was letting the reader know how it compared to other DC movies. There was particularly a mention of Batman versus Superman, and also a discussion of how this was actually a lighter, less dark movie than their previous films. And that's helpful for a reader because you can expect that if your reader is interested in, say, watching a movie like Wonder Woman, then they've probably seen other DC comic book movies. They've probably seen other comic book movies and love action films. So if you can talk about and compare your movie to something else that they've seen, that is a really good strategy. All right, the final thing I want to talk about falls under the characteristic features of films and of film reviews, and that you will find on page 302. So the other thing you need to really think about is your criteria for evaluation. What categories are you going to judge your film on? And these are things relevant to the genre, right? So if I was reviewing a Pixar movie, if I was reviewing Inside Out, I would want to judge, the quality of the animation, how, kid-friendly is the plot, how good is it compared to other Pixar movies? Does it measure up and meet our expectations that we have for Pixar movies, or is it one of their weaker films? So those are all things that I'd like you to think about as you draft your roadmap and as you draft your review essay. Good luck, happy writing.